Hey friends, welcome back to Sievers Blumen Farm, and today I want to give a little bit of an update on our farm. So it's been a long time since I've been over here at our what I call the new farm property. We bought this property in 2021, and you may remember there was a video where I was discussing planting a small little rose cutting patch, and that was over here on this 80-ish acre property that we have. Now, things have changed a lot in the last couple years, and that's why I want to do this video because we're definitely changing things up a lot. For those of you that are new here, we are a flower farm. We started in 2019 was our first growing season. We started growing just general cut flowers and then moved into growing some roses and selling roses as nursery plants, potted plants and such. And I've also been on this journey to build this heirloom rose collection so that one day I might be able to open up a small heirloom rose nursery or at least just have a nice little collection myself. So that's kind of in a nutshell what we've been doing, but at the same time, we've also been building up our cattle business. So we are looking to provide grass-fed, grass-finished beef here in our southwestern Illinois farm. And this property is very integral to that whole vision. So today I just wanted to kind of go over what we've been doing the last couple years and what's been working, what's not. And some of you may not find this interesting if you're only interested in flowers, but I do feel like some of you might be interested in how your beef is produced, especially if you are a person that purchases grass-fed beef. You might be able to actually see the cows. They were just up by the fence and now they're not, now that I started recording, but they are back here. We got our own little herd going and we just turned the bull out here. This is beginning of August right now, but we just turned the bull out in July. So this past year was the first year we actually got to see the calves that we produced here on our farm. So we had purchased 8 cows that were already had calves on their sides a couple years ago. And then last year was the first year that we actually had our own bull that we purchased. The kids named him Red Rock and put him in with them. And then now this past spring was the first time we've had calves that were born here on our farm. We've had some from other cows, but like from our main herd. And so he threw some beautiful calves. Let me tell you, they have just been gorgeous. We've been really pleased with how they look. Their coats are smooth. I don't want to get a little too crazy on it, but they have looked really, really great. And we cannot be more happy with him. And we actually have been able to share this bull with my husband Hayden's sister and her husband too. So that's been really nice. We've been able to they get the bull part of the year, we get the bull part of the year. And I think we've all been really, really pleased with the quality of calves that he has helped produce. We are looking to have a South Pole herd. So South Pole is a breed of cows. They've been bred specifically for being grass-fed. They're known for being really good mothers too. So we're just looking to keep that kind of genetics in our stock, but it's not to say that we don't have some mixes in there. It's not a huge deal, but we're just slowly building up our herd as we go. And Red Rock is a South Pole bull as well. And that's kind of where we're going with that. Again, things can change, and we started out with Irish Dexters, and so we kind of thought, should we go that route or not? They are much smaller, maybe not as hard on the ground and all of that, but we've been really pleased with the South Poles so far. And honestly, our Dexter experience wasn't that great. We have one little remnant of our Dexter herd still out there, so we'll be butchering him this fall. Just want to take you along a little bit. I have all these clips from the last couple of years because we've been trying a lot of different things. So we are really focused on improving the quality of our soil here. We still have a long way to go. This is very sticky river bottom clay type soil. It is very, very wet and sticky when it's wet, and then it will produce these really large cracks whenever it's dry. So it's kind of a tough soil to work with. And we just have some weird spots in our fields where it's actually higher in elevation, but it's actually wetter there. So strange. So we just have these weird things going on in our field, and we're just trying to figure it out as we go, trying to promote as much carbon and biomass growth as possible to keep pushing carbon back into the soils and pushing more organic matter into the soils to improve the soil health. We've been rolling out lots of hay. We've been using cover crops a lot. We've had some failed experiments with cover crops. We've had some good successes with cover crops. So we have really been trying our hardest, let's say. So our goal is to eventually not have any grain production on this field at all. We still have a little bit in grain production, and honestly, that's what's been kind of cash flowing all of the purchases that we've had to make. So we've had to buy the cows, we've had to buy the fencing and install the fencing, we've had to do some dirt work, we've had to do a lot of different things. And so the grain has kind of been limping us along with that, but we're slowly trying to wean ourselves off of that. And honestly, it's not like the soil here is the best for growing grain. We've got some really decent crops off of it, but like it's not like prime Illinois grain cropping area. I'm originally from that area, and it's definitely not that. We'll just say that. So we've been applying our cover crops by drone, and that's been really fun to just see how that works. I'm not always like a super fan. My husband makes fun of me of technology and all of that. And when drones were first coming out and being used in agriculture, I was a little skeptical. I was an intern for an ag retailer, and I remember the first drone that was purchased by them, and it was like all these little boys out there playing with their toy, and I was like, that's great that this drone, it's got a camera, whatever, like, but what are we actually using this for? Like, they kept saying that they were buying it so they could identify pests and disease on their crops, but the technology wasn't really there yet at the time to be able to like fly a drone over the field and like exactly say what the disease or whatever it was, but yet they were marketing it like that. So I was a little frustrated by that. But people love their toys, so whatever. But this has been really cool because we've been able to actually fly the cover crop seed on during a time when the grain crop is still standing. So we can fly it on the field while the wheat or the corn is still standing, and that seed will be able to lay on the ground before we harvest the crop. And that gives us more time for that seed to soil contact and more opportunity to get rainfall and just more opportunity for germination before maybe the dormant season kicks in or whatever. So that's been really a good thing, and it's worked out really well. I mean, there are times where we haven't got a lot of rain in a timely manner, and that's been a little bit of a problem, but all in all, that's worked out really well for us for the most part as we've done that. And so that's been really interesting because I studied for my master's degree, my project was on cover crops and how they affect cash crops. And part of the experiment was simulating aerial broadcasting. So at the time we were simulating like an airplane flying on these cover crop seeds into standing corn or standing soybeans. And at the time, I just didn't feel like a lot of people were adopting that. I just didn't see that many people hiring airplanes to go do that. There were some bigger farmers, but there just wasn't a lot. But I think with drones now, with these larger drones, we have the capability to do that. And so that's been really interesting. And I think a lot more people are adopting that. And that's been cool to see that we've been adopting that on our own farm. Because I honestly was performing that experiment thinking, I don't know how many of these people are going to be adopting these practices, and this isn't realistic to do this experiment and expect people to do that. I was coming from my background, of course. It just wasn't something that was happening in my area quite a bit. Did not see the reality of that. Did not see people like my dad adopting those practices, but now I can see the possibilities a little bit more. I'm not saying that he still would, but he can watch this video and tell me if he would or not. But so that's been really cool. But we have had some issues because there's been some times where things didn't line up right. So we got our cover crop in, but we weren't able to get our cows in. So a couple years ago, we actually had a beautiful standing crop of sorghum Sudan grass, Japanese millet, and grain sorghum and all of that. And we didn't have our fence built yet. And we thought we were going to get it done, and we didn't. And so we just had to watch this whole field of cover crop like just sit there, and our cows didn't get to utilize it, and it was frustrating. We were able to get somebody to bale it, but I don't know if you guys have worked with that before, but the quality of the hay, like after it's baled, I personally don't feel that it is like the best quality. Like it loses some quality to it when it's baled. It just was not the best hay. And they ate it, but it just was not the greatest and would have been better utilized as a cover crop for them eating it fresh. We've had some issues before with like our rye didn't really burn down like we wanted it to. And so there were some issues with harvesting our soybeans with the combine and all of that. This year, I think the last couple of years, we're finally getting the hang of things with the cover crops. We flew on some rye into a neighboring field that is owned by the family, and that did really, really well. And actually, we tried to kill it. They tried to kill it by like disking it, and then it kind of came back, and we got another flush off of it, and we're able to finish out some kind of fatten up some of the steers that we ended up selling. So that was really cool. Now we're using that same field again. It was in wheat, and we flew on a sorghum Sudan grass and Japanese millet mix. And we had already previously frost seeded some clover into that as well. So all of that is growing right now, and it's doing well. And we didn't get manure on it in the time that we wanted because we do have access to manure. But it's still, I think it's going to be a great crop for the cows here in the next week or so. So the cows are going to get a little bit closer. So I kind of moved a little bit closer. So hopefully they come up here. But they've been just like a great little group of cows so far, and we've been really excited. So that's basically all I wanted to say, is that we've really learned a lot so far starting this operation. It's not for the faint of heart. We're definitely like scrimping on the cash right now. But I just want to offer this as a video of encouragement for people that want to kind of break into this kind of lifestyle or production system. It's not easy, but I've been really pleased with what my husband's done. I promise I'm going to get him on camera eventually, but he's had a vision this whole time, and he's really taken the steps to put that vision together, and we're finally getting there. And so in the next year, we're hoping to see, we're going to take our first couple of beeves to slaughter and hopefully get them USDA inspected so we can actually sell the meat as parts instead of just selling quarters, halves, and all of that. And so we're just really excited to see how this journey unfolds. And this is kind of the new chapter for Sievers Blumen Farm. I'm not going to stop growing flowers. It's kind of one of those things where once it's in your blood, like the flowers, like they're in there for sure. And kind of like my husband, once you've been bitten by the cow bug, you've just been bitten by it. So we're just kind of evolving. I'll always have flowers at my house and so on. But this new chapter of Sievers Blumen Farm is definitely, we're focusing on our cattle enterprise and getting that off the ground. So if you're new here, I invite you to subscribe. We would really love to have you come along on this journey. And if you're not new here, please stick around. We think that we'll have some really exciting things to share. And maybe some things, if you're not aware of how your food is produced and grown, maybe you'll learn some things from this, because it's been a learning process for us. And my husband and I both grew up on farms. So we're not new necessarily to being around animals and animal agriculture, but this is definitely, we're really trying so hard to improve the health of our land and improve like meat quality, all of these things. Like we're really trying to make a difference, and we're excited to share that. So I invite you to come along on this journey with us.